Kia ora and welcome to the 2026 AUSA elections debate for the Postgraduate Education Vice President. My name is Jack Swaran-Kazor and I'm part of the Arts and Education Students Association. And it's really good to be here with my good friend.
Hi, I'm Levi. I'm from the Debating Society and happy to be here helping out with the election.
This year's debate is brought to you by AUSA alongside the Debating Society, the Public Policy Club, the Arts and Education Students Association, as well as Crackham. Today we'll be discussing the candidates for the postgraduate vice president position, about their experience, their policies, and what they bring to the table and more. Each candidate will get around 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer our direct questions to them. And if there's a follow-up question that we ask, you'll have about 45 seconds to respond, Before we begin, I'd also just like to clarify that we have 5 candidates running for this role. We have Gauri, we have Sakshi, we have Harisankar, we have Naveed, and we have Abu Saleh. Today we have with us 3 of those people. We have Gauri, we have Sakshi, and we have Hari. But first, we'd love to give these 3 candidates the opportunity to introduce themselves individually. So in 30 seconds, who are you? Why are you running for this role? What makes you the perfect fit for it? Should we start with Hari on the left and then move over?
Ladies first, but okay. So my name is Harisankar Menon. Hari is what everybody calls me. It's what my mom calls me as well. I'm a PhD here in civil engineering. I'm also a PhD representative there. And I'm also the vice president for engineering in the Engineering and Design Postgraduate Student Association. I'm coming from India, from the state of Kerala, which is, I think, one thing we both share. We just found out. And I've lived in India, UAE, and France, and I used to be a consultant before and thought I had to do something more technical in the engineering field and felt that I need to do a doctorate to level up eventually in my long-term career. I look forward to this post of PGSA because I think this is my next step where I can actually help the university, but I have a feeling that that question is going to come up soon. So I shall just leave this for the introduction.
Yeah.
Hi guys, my name is Gauri and I'm your current International Student Officer at AUSA. I'm originally from Kerala, India, same as Hari, and I grew up in Oman. And I moved here to start my Bachelor of Science studying psychology. I'll be starting my master's next year, most probably in organizational psychology. My aspirations to run for this role, I'll start with what I did with ISO. I was able to represent the community, both in terms of the international office, running events, cultural events, bringing the cultural clubs together, and just bring a sense of community to the WAS international community. I intend to do the same with the postgraduate representation in terms of every table I sit in. I want to represent their voice, bring more networking, alumni events for the community, and just making sure they're represented. Yeah.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Sakshi Patil. I'm an international student from India, currently pursuing Masters of Artificial Intelligence. Currently, I'm in semester 2. For the duration of past 6 months, I have engaged myself in my academics, helping my other classmates and socializing myself with students representing various cultural backgrounds. And I have kept myself engaged through helping them, making them find their way out. And I realized over the time that I didn't want others to feel just how I felt in my starting for few weeks over here. So by nominating myself for this role, I want to do such activities in a more on paper official leadership title, and also so that my help can actually reach out to a wider student community.
Thanks very much for those lovely introductions. We'll now move into the general questions and questions about your individual experiences as candidates. So I guess my first question would be, tell us about your relevant experience to this role. Why is this going to make you a perfect fit for this role? And why is this going to make you the best fit for the role? Should we start with you, Sakshi?
Oh yeah, sure. Great. It's a nice question actually. As I'm pursuing my Masters of AI course, I would say that the problems of postgraduate students are quite different from those of undergraduate students. I'm not prioritizing one over the another, but it's just navigating a postgraduate student life is like navigating an individual path where you are just assigned one supervisor, one research project, and you need to handle it all by your own. And I think there are very difficulties that one can come across. And as a student myself, I believe that having a um, certain person who can actually has your back and you can actually reach out to comfortably, not just for your problems but for overall guidance and socializing, I think that can create a much more better experience for a postgraduate student. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Beyond the sort of general postgraduate experience, what do you think is your number one experience that kind of shows that you can handle this role and kind of be that person to facilitate that for people?
Like my experience
Yeah,
as
like
of
your
now?
personal. Yeah.
Over the term of like my current semester and my previous semester, I have been class rep and also AUSA buddy leader. So I think that has teach me enough leadership skills on exactly how to reach out to students, make them actually heard and not just like you're listening to problems, and try to sort of their every problem, like be it just guidance or make them actually know that they are not alone in this suffering through that particular issue, or make them come in contact with certain services which are provided by the university. I think that experience has taught me a lot on exactly how to apply for these leadership skills.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks very much. Gauri, the same question. Tell us about your experience. What experience do you have that you think will make you perfect for this role?
Yes. In terms of my experience, mainly would be the international student position that I'm currently serving in the USA. So the main gap I observe within, especially the international students, when you take postgrads, like around 60% of the population, around like 10K, are already international students. Even looking at the candidates sitting here, most of us are international. So lagging the gap that we have, like integrating them to the broader student services that we already have, marketing those services. So that's what I did in being an international officer, making communities, representations, talking to them directly by going to the events, giving them the same opportunities and making sure they feel included in the facilities that a university has to provide with them. And yeah, I do believe those are the services that I've done and worked with. And I do believe I can use those services and like those skills I gained from representing and advocating for the international student population. Same with the postgrad students. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a very relevant experience. I guess kind of my question is, why now are you running for postgraduate VP, and what would you sort of want to do differently compared to your previous role?
Yeah. In terms of postgrad students, the main concern they come up with is their connection with the job market outside. So I do believe that making like networking events, alumni events, and like making engagement in such a way that both the PhD master students come together and form a sort of network, because I do believe networking within the university. That's why I brought in the international aspect, like making the connection here, so that leads you to the job market outside and helps you gain the soft skills, networking skills, and presentation skills. So I do think giving them the opportunities and building that be something I'll be working towards. And yeah, and I did see a lot of overlap in me working with the international population and also the postgraduate society. And I do think I have a sense of connections to them, and then I enjoy working with the community. So that's my aspiration and like motivation to run for the role. Yep.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much. And Hari, what experience do you have that are going to make you perfect for this role?
Right. So I'll start with the current thing that I have before my general experience. So currently I serve as the Vice President for the Engineering and Design Postgraduate Student Association, which is the Faculty Student Council for Engineering. I'm also a PhD rep there, which means that as a postgraduate student already having spent 1.5 years there, and as a doctoral student, I probably have another 1.5 to 2.5 years left, which means that I'm in the system. And I already sit on the SSC and the GRSCs, which is your Graduate Research Student Councils. And I understand the issues that both master students and doctoral students have, because these kind of issues are raised up in these meetings. And one of the things that we've noticed in these meetings is that we have very less representation from the master students, practically next to nothing, because there is not really a system to get a representative. And another thing on the PhD side would be, I'd say, loneliness and anxiety, even depression for a lot of PhD students, because our works, we don't have classrooms, we don't have classmates. We just sit in a corner somewhere in a building and we do our research. It can get sad. Because when we look at things, undergraduate students, they have the parties, the events, and the fun. Master students, they're here for like 9 months to 15 months, and that's it, they're out. PhD students, they're here for 3-4 years. You hardly make friends. You come in different times, so it can be a struggle. Now, those are the kind of things I would like to include. And to fix that, I propose that we build uniform student council structures from the ground up in each faculties. And once you have that, we can actually fly strong in AUSA. And that would be win-win because we can represent the real issues that students are having at a postgraduate level, both for masters and PhD, bring it up to AUSA and bring it up to the relevant authorities. And right now, we're just flying blind. So that is an issue. In terms of experience, I've got my own business in France. I'm a CEO of a company. From the very first year of my undergrad and through my 2 master's degrees that I finished and my PhD, I've been a student council representative throughout the entire time. So in terms of experience, I've got a wealth of that. As you can see, I'm a slightly bit older than the rest of the crowd as well. We have beautiful ladies over here, but they're not as attractive. What can we do? But yeah, so those are the things that I plan to do.
Yeah, 1 minute 30, but yeah, thanks very much.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no real follow-up on that. I guess it's kind of that top-down change then that you're looking for as opposed to just popularizing connections. But yeah.
So for me, so Eugene Lee, the current PGVP, he's a really good friend of mine, and he's also like a mentor for me for this role. And I've seen him go above and beyond to make this dream possible. Because when he joined as the PGVP, he realized there isn't really much connection to the PG students that AUSA has. This is a huge blind spot, and nobody's really doing anything about it. So he has actually gone above and beyond to fix things, to make things work. And I want to see that work being continued where things happen, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this can give me the power to execute some of those
Yeah.
dreams.
That makes sense. I guess just to move back to Gauri, just on the issue of like, I guess, connecting with postgraduate students, do you think there's some issue of you not having kind of yet been a postgraduate student and I guess kind of understanding those fundamental issues or being able to just establish that connection in this role?
Yes, in terms of, I definitely understand that I haven't started a research or subdoctoral program yet, but I've been working under PhD students for the last 2 semesters, and I aspire to continue my PhD and master's as well. So I do science scholars. It's like a group of research committees. We hear problems about different professors, different researchers, and how the research world works. I know it's not first-hand experience, but definitely getting into it. I know a university, especially the education sector, somewhere you learn every step by step. Coming into AUSA was the same for me. Being an international student coming here and representing and like getting to know their whole system was different. But I do think about 3 months I got a good grasp of it and understanding the issues, and mainly talking to the PhD students, talking to the people in the sector, going to different facilities and faculties and getting to know them. That's how you really understand the issues. And the current PGSO, Chelsea, she's been running surveys to understand this problem as well. And so that would be something I'll be working towards, and definitely continuing on the GRSC, the Graduate Research Committee that both Hari and Eugene sits on as well. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Thanks very much. And just like a final question on this point for you, Sakshi. You mentioned that you're a class rep and an AUSA buddy. Postgrad vice president is obviously a really, really big commitment and quite a big step up. Do you have any experience working with other class reps, like through your other postgraduate students as a class rep? And how do you think you can really, really apply that to make yourself really good for the role?
I would say being a postgrad class rep actually helps you because my experience isn't just limited to someone who is outside of the picture. Rather, I'm just living it. Like every new week actually teaches us something new about how to survive through the academics, survive through the pressure, survive through the overall difficulties in life. And by interacting with other postgrad class reps, when I get to hear that they face the similar issues, I think that postgrad students and their problems are slightly underrepresented when talking about taking collectively the problems of all the students. And it's not just based on like their importance, but it's also because most of the students are undergrads. So that's why I think that being a leader who people can actually look up to, and they think that she's one of the us, and we can actually reach out to her comfortably, and she actually has our back. I aspire to be that sort of leader. So I think that my my leadership skills might come in handy when applying for such a role.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. Thanks very much. We'll I think that's a really good way to kind of end the experience and general questions kind of section. But we'll now move into your policies and proposals. But I still want to say, if there's a way you can tie in your experience to those policies and explain why you specifically are able to implement them, that would be really, really great to hear for the student body. So moving into those kind of questions, what do you think is the main issue felt by postgraduate students in no more than 30 seconds, starting with you, Sakshi?
One of the most important pressure which postgrad students might be facing first would be financial and academic pressure, because they have sort to they need to sort out all completely by themselves and not just relying on anyone. Second would be academic stress, because they face much more academic stress and career pressure other than compared to the other students. Third would be isolation. Adult friendships can be really hard. So I believe isolation can be one of the toughest challenge postgrad students might face.
Yeah, we just need a like the main issue. That makes sense. Just Gauri, if you want to answer the same question.
Sorry, it's just what are the major.
What is the main issue felt by postgrad students, do you think?
Yeah, I would say when compared to undergraduate students, they're just partying and they're pretty much chill compared to, the postgrad students. When it comes to postgrad students, they have a pressure that they work with, lack of connection to the job market and finding a job later on. That's the gap and major stress for most postgraduates, both international and domestic, because the research gap and then continuing it to the job market, I would say that's where they lack the most and that's where they stress about the most. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say community is the main thing, because a lot of our international students, they move countries and some of them have families and they move here. As Gauri just mentioned, the job market is one aspect of it. But even just meeting people in say 9 to 15 months or something, or even as a PhD student, is difficult. And a lot of their issues, I genuinely feel that they've been neglected. As a postgraduate student myself, I understand that a lot of them are just neglected. And AUSA right now, for the most part, is just UG focused. If you look at the panel, we have 14, 15 people, of which 12, 13 of them are catered towards undergrads. And we have 2 for PGs and just one, well, technically is a UG who doesn't really know PG.
We just probably have to interject there, but yeah.
So, I would say community is the main thing I like to focus on.
Yeah, makes sense.
Perfect. Just moving on before we get into more specific policy questions about you guys specifically. What do you understand about what this role does, how this role operates, how it operates in AUSA, and also how it operates in the postgraduate area? Should we start with you, Hari?
Sure. So as the PG Vice President for Education, I'm one of the 2 executive roles alongside the PGSO, the student officer. We work with the executives of the AUSA to represent postgraduates, but we also sit on things like, for example, the GRSC, the Graduate Research Student Council, and I'm a rep, so SSC, and we're that bridge that AUSA and let's say the top echelon of the university has with the rest of the postgraduate students. So it is the duty of the PG Vice President to represent the issues across different faculties to AUSA and make sure that their issues are addressed as well. And so that is in a nutshell. Depending on time, I can go more, but
perfect. I think that's good. And we'll ask a similar question, but we understand how some stuff has already been discussed. So if you want to talk about what you think you can do in that role to excel, onto you, Gauri.
As Hari mentioned, definitely it's a gap between representing students into the AUSA body, like a student body, because that's where they take the majority of the action. In terms of what I would do in that position would be definitely making sure the information, as he mentioned, it's majority undergraduate students. So bringing in the issues, we sit in the research committees with the universities, will be the only student in most of the committees that we sit within the university. Also, the graduate research committee, taking the information, taking the problems into the student council of the of AUSA and making sure the other execs know about the issues so that we can work with it together, both with the president and the undergraduate education vice president. So along that lines, working together with the postgraduate student officer and the undergraduate education and the vice president to run more campaigns and engagement activities for them in addressing those issues. Yep.
Thanks very much. And Sakshi, what do you think? How do you think this role works? What's going to make you so efficient at operating in the mechanisms that it uses?
Agreeing to what both of this said, I believe that understanding postgraduate students' issues, not only officially on paper, but actually addressing them and implementing something within our academic structure, really would create a long lasting benefit for them. And I guess that implementing it would actually take time, but gradually we can achieve it. So, my primary objective would be to make sure that their concerns are addressed, implemented, and ask for their feedback if they are satisfied by the overall changes in their academic structures.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess sort of in like a specific policy sense, a lot of this sort of relates, I think, to the sort of building of a sense of community between, I guess, postgraduate students. To just ask specifically on like social events, networking events, those sorts of events, what do you think the social experience currently looks like for a postgraduate student? And how do you think you'd get engagement with those sort of events to sort of bring people together more, if that makes sense?
Can you please repeat the question?
So in terms of trying to, I guess, foster community and run those sorts of events that sort of bring postgraduate students together, how do you think you'd be able to uniquely get this across to them if that kind of is already a bit broken up or they feel a bit isolated?
Being a postgrad student myself, I think students are actually very much busy handling everything, be it academics, be it their other responsibilities. And when they actually get the chance to socialize, I think they might feel underrepresented when talking about their issues, because there's not actually someone who can actually help them. Because most of the things, like, they're expected to sort it out themselves because all others are exactly doing the same. But at the same time, finding someone who you can relate to, and just being empathetic enough to hear their problems, I think that would actually help them a lot, rather than just socializing and saying that, oh, hi, how are you, rather than, oh, I can listen to you, I can relate to you as well, and don't worry, we got this. I think that sort of intention would actually help them a lot.
So you think it's more of a mentorship or guidance that's kind of needed for people?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Gauri, if you want to answer the same.
And as Sakshi mentioned about the mentoring program, that's something I want to work with. So in terms of international students, we have something called the Buddies program that's run in the AUSA events team. So that's like pairing new international students with students who are already here. So the engineering faculty already runs PG Buddy program. So that's like all incoming new international or current new postgrad students. They're paired up with a mentor who's already one semester in or like about to graduate. So having that sense of like someone from the same faculty or program to relate to. So the education and social work faculty also reached out, mentioning they want to start a program like that for postgrads. So having that would be a really great start. This is not going to solve all the issues, but like definitely having some sort of connection with the people, not feeling isolated, and then further. So having that kind of program in most of the faculties, that'd be something I'll be pushing for. Yeah.
I think it'd be difficult to do that sort of program insofar as postgraduate students already quite worked if you've like only been here a semester. Like, do you think many people would be willing and able to be good buddies and to be there for others?
Yeah. And also, like when it comes to that, the postgraduate engineering program has been running for like a few years now, and it's pretty successful in terms of the engagement they have. So the events are not just them coming in to play games like how we do for undergrads. It would be more like networking, alumni panels. So it's more like fun mixed with professional and like helping them for the future. So when we go along that line, I do think most of the faculty, at least the ones who have reached out, have the facilities and the resources to do so. So, yeah.
Makes sense. And then, Hari, just on like,
So I do think we do have the buddy programs, as they mentioned, for some of the postgraduate students. And I have a feeling we might have crossed paths a couple of weeks ago at one of those events. We just didn't know who each other were at the time. So all those things definitely help. But for me, I would say that all those things plus giving more power to the postgraduate students. So one thing this year that I've spearheaded in the background with Eugene is getting the PG votes for the PG students. Because right now, undergraduate students are voting for postgraduate student representatives who are supposed to represent postgraduate issues. Now, of course, they're going to have a UG bias, right? Case in point, we have 33,000 students total, about which 5,000 are postgraduate students. And all of us pay the 10 to 15 percentage of numbers in terms of our fees, which goes into the student welfare fund. But if you look at the numbers, AUSA's fund is about 1.7 million in funding from the university plus 800,000, which is what Nimish mentioned at the SGM recently. So that's 2.3 million. We don't get 10 to 15 percentage of that. What we get is a few pizzas once every 2-3 months. And personally, for me, I'm in the Newmarket campus, which is like we're out there in the forbidden land somewhere. And yesterday I hosted like a event there for the PhDs. We got like 8 boxes of pizzas. That's about it. So we get like 2 rounds of pizzas and that's it. Whereas UGs get so much attention, so much focus. So I want PG issues to be focused around PG people and brought forth alongside all the community and the networking and stuff. But I think if you really want to get the issues up front, you really need to have that structure of the student council within each faculty so that we can have that proper channel of communication all the way up where the PGVP can actually represent those issues, which isn't happening right now. So,
yeah, the bargaining power, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Perfect. Just on like a general policy question, all three of you, what's your number one policy? What's your number one policy that's going to make an impact for postgrad students? Should we start with you, Hari?
sure. For me, I'd say it's about structure. And what I mean by structure is there isn't a structure as it is. And what that means, if you look at different faculties across the business school, I know this because I sit in the GRSE, every single school has a different student council, if at all they have one, and they have representatives, if at all they have one. What I would like to do is I want to make sure that every student is represented through a rep. And that structure exists through the entire university, where there is a uniform student council and everybody is represented and nobody goes unnoticed. So every student has to be represented. That is extremely important to me. And I'm going to make sure that our efforts continue to ensure that we have that kind of representation across all faculties, which honestly, as far as postgraduate students go, does not exist today. And that needs to change. So that would be my number one policy, structure.
Yeah. So that looks like, I imagine, going to each of those faculties and sort of.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's actually happening. Eugene has done a lot of work.
Yeah.
So this is how me and him met.
Work. Yeah.
Yes. So he has gone to each and every single faculty, met each and every single PhD rep. He's done a wonderful job. He gets credit, but he doesn't get enough credit for this. And I want to see that continue because he's done a lot of work to make things work, right? To make PGs be represented. And I just want to continue that dream and make sure now that we have some kind of structure already, we get it done even more and we make sure it's secure. We don't want to lose that momentum that we've gained. Yeah. Which is why I would like to continue on that dream. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Number one policy?
Yes, I would definitely be working on the networking, panel building, community events. So both the postgraduate student officer, Chelsea, and PGUP, Eugene, they've both worked and did a wonderful job in bringing the community together. Like, there's still work to be done, but like the initial footsteps have been laid out for this year. So building onto that and like making sure we go up and reach out to all the faculties. We already have the connections now. We have the GRFC formed. So having events and networking events specific to different faculties, bringing in the alumni and bringing in people from graduates from different faculties and like giving them in a space to like interact, build an environment and connect with the job market out there.
So do you think there's a need to market it specifically towards like networking for like professional purposes? Because obviously, postgraduate students are often working, they're looking at jobs. Is that how you imagine this being different from like other clubs that they might be able to go to that also have undergraduate students?
Yeah, especially the clubs here at AUSA. We do have some specific postgraduate clubs or like different studies, like Japanese studies clubs and stuff like that. But all the other clubs are more catered to like network, like undergraduate students, like as such, and the postgrads are like left out. So maybe going through with the faculty and like collaborating with them, sending newsletters and like engaging with the specific representatives, like as Hari is of civil engineering, maybe communicating with them and then having the events formed that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. And number one policy?
My number one policy would be a clear and transparent student supervision support, because based on my experiences, supervision and a perfect supervisor and the relationship students have with their supervisor is of the utmost importance, because once that relationships gets starts going downwards, the entire research part of the master students and their whole semester starts shaking a bit, and they can face a lot of difficulties, you can say. And based on my experiences, what I have noticed is that most of the problems are just too small to ask a lecturer or a supervisor, but sometimes they are too big to handle it ourselves. So I believe that a clear and a transparent student supervision, like support services, would be of like given the highest priority.
So, just on the idea of being clear and transparent, like, how do you think they're not currently transparent, and how would you specifically improve, I guess, the transparency of those services? Like, if it's that they're there but people don't know about them, what does that look like?
When I say clear and transparent, it doesn't mean that their issues are not addressed, but what students and see the most is whether their feedbacks are actually taken into consideration and actually implemented in their overall structure, I would say. So, and when they can't see the differences between the previous structure and the current situation, they think that their addresses are just taken for like on paper. They can't, they start thinking like, what's the use of like expressing our concerns if they are not implementing them or taking those into consideration. So I believe that ensuring them that we are actually taking into construction, but it will take some time to implement them, and guaranteeing them that actually we hear about those, I think that would create a major difference. And that's how like trust trust might be implemented between the students.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. I think that just about wraps up our policies and proposals part of this. We now move on to the what's hot on campus, the issues that's important to students, and particularly the issues important to postgraduate students in your area. But firstly here on AI policy, AI is obviously a completely massive thing at the university. The two-lane approach has just been implemented at the university all across it. And so as the postgraduate student officer, how are you going to advocate for the usage of AI and what's really, really important to postgrads to do with AI?
Yes. So,
Hari?
sure. Thank you. Now, obviously, artificial intelligence is one of the biggest things that's happened, let's say, in the last 5 to 10 years for us specifically here at the University of Auckland. The university has developed an AI guideline policy, which is going to start in September, right? Most of us use AI, even professors use AI. In our research as well, AI is something that we use a lot of the time for many different use cases. One thing I've noticed is that the people who develop AI policy, what they do is maybe they're not well versed with AI, so they send out these surveys and expect people to just reply. To be honest, a lot of the times postgraduate students, they don't really look at their emails because we get bombarded with emails which has so many links. And one of those links is this AI survey. So a lot of people don't really look at it. I use all sorts of AI models. I've been using professional grade AI for 4 years. And that really helps. A blunder would be, for example, a doctorate student who has done a lot of their research using AI, except now at the end of because of this new policy, guess what? You have to have every single chat of every single conversation you had. Now, if I have to go back 1.5 years, that's like looking back 5,000 chats, and I don't know what is where, really. Now, again, we've spoken to this about the Pro Vice Chancellor and other people, and they say these are guidelines. So that means you don't really have to follow them. You just have to try to stick to them when possible, but not strictly follow them. So as somebody who develops software, program code, commercializes software, and gets patent on it, with AI heavily, I think I would be in a position.
So I'll cut you off here, but thanks very much for
Yes.
your answer.
Okay.
Gauri?
I do think AI is good and both bad in the way you use it. And now in the world of AI, we are in a bubble and we can't get outside it. We need to accommodate it. We need to live with it. And yeah, as long as you're being transparent with your professor and you're using it, and you also use, because we have heaps of AI research tools, mentally, reference managers, and stuff like that. So as long as you're being clear of how and when you're using it, and also the university's two-lane pathway is being pretty clear on where and when and how to use it. So being transparent, being honest with yourself and your professor and communicating it through, that'll be something I'll be pushing forward to in terms of the AI policy. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
And Sakshi?
Sorry, what was the question again?
The question's about AI. What are you going to do in your role to help it be used in the university at postgraduate level in a better way?
Um, Taking into this role, like in consideration, I would say that I'm a Masters of AI student myself, and based on the experience, I would say like we need to encourage students to start using AI, not just out of like the need to complete that task, but to need to help them like satisfy their curiosity. And I think curiosity might help them to learn better things, not just like I need to get all these my assignments done, but to ask like do this particular concept works, and how should I like implement this, how a particular topic or academics like benefit to us. I think that encouragement is more appreciative to students, and like prioritizing our way to make them understand that AI is not there to like replace us, but it is there only to help ourselves and like help us do work much more better. I think that encouragement is much more needed to the students.
Yeah, cool. I guess there's a nice extension to that, and because of time, we'll keep this brief. Obviously, some of the concern with AI, but also generally, is about the employability of degrees. On the other side of that, how do you think you'd uniquely be able to address those sort of concerns for postgraduate students? And briefly, what steps do you think you'd take to, I guess, address employability concerns for them?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question.
Postgraduate students being concerned about if they can get a job on the other side of their degree, how do you think you'd address that, basically?
I think it's a real practical issue where everyone is concerned about like AI is actually taking our jobs. And I think it might be true to a certain extent, but as long as students use AI to upskill themselves and not to just complete their assignments and score good marks in university, I think students are actually like upskilling themselves and making themselves better at skills, knowing that AI will require like humans to like train it, and students should be confident in their skills themselves, like not just depend on AI. I think that will make a huge difference.
Yeah, that sort of upskilling, that makes sense. Cool. Quickly.
Definitely adding on to that, upskilling is definitely a key way to go with it. And also, just like how we have new updates on social media and you're like updating with the new trend and stuff, just like that, you need to put in work into learning the new tools out there, the new applications, so that you're equipped with the professional skills that you need to work in that environment. And also, maybe not, yeah, working along that side, updating yourself, learning more about it, and like making to it's gonna be there. We are in a transition stage, and we'll have to live with it. So equipping yourself with the skills needed to like work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And lastly, sorry.
People are worried that AI is going to take away their jobs, maybe some low entry level skill jobs, maybe. But you know what's better, what's more likely? It's that a person who knows how to use AI well is going to take over the jobs of the person who doesn't know how to use AI. So it's about augmenting your skills with AI. And I use the word augment in the sense that it can help you gain a vast amount of knowledge about a lot of fields. For example, in the doctoral field, a lot of the times we find that AI is also kind of a supervisor for us in terms of it can give us a lot of different angles to think about. But yesterday I was listening to a talk where this person, the CEO of a company, he mentioned.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry, just briefly, 30 seconds,
Yes.
but it makes sense. It's a really, really good point.
Okay.
I think we'll leave it there on the important issues for students and what's hot on campus. But with one final question, though, before we get into the rapid fire questions, which is, do any of you have any conflicts of interest? Those are include but are not limited to party memberships, having volunteered or donated to a party, or any kind of other affiliations. So just quickly, do you have any, and what are they, Sakshi?
Can you please like give a short like what exactly is the question?
Do you have any conflicts of interest? Are you a member of a political party? Are you a member of anything else that you think would affect your ability to do this role in a non-partisan way that affects every student?
Hmm. I don't think so. Like apart from like socializing myself in like student community groups and other such things.
Yeah, totally fine. On to you.
No, I do not have any conflict of interest.
Perfect. And Hari?
No conflict either. Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. I think that gets us great and briefly into the rapid fire questions. So, do you think that the current AUSA postgraduate vice president has done a good job? Hari, I'm guessing what your answer is going to be based off your previous ones, but yes or no?
Yes.
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 Cool. If you were to remove one position from the AUSA executive, if you can think of any now, which would you remove?
Not any. Nothing.
I wouldn't remove any of
Okay.
I like to add, actually, not remove.
Oh,
Maybe get more representation. Well, I think this goes against
This is
the.
rapid fire, so I'm going to cut you off, but I'll just say you don't want to remove
Sure.
anything.
Yes.
So a third thing, what do you think the biggest issue that postgraduate students are facing as of right now, Hari? Just briefly.
Loneliness.
yeah, that's, yeah.
job market, finding a job.
Academic pressure.
Yeah, cool. If you could sort of improve one UOA service, whether that be generally or for postgraduate students specifically, which one would you choose to make better?
Starting from me?
Yeah.
I would say postgraduate centric student feedbacks.
Library scholarly services and workshops run by the library.
I'd say well-being, so that students have their issues anonymously taken care of, which I feel is limited in the postgraduate space, especially in the doctoral space.
Perfect. Just yes or no. Do you think that the advancement of AI has done more harm than good for postgraduate research? Hari?
Now,
Yes or
I-
no?
no,
No.
as in it hasn't done more harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Interesting seeing you all agree.
Cool. And I guess if we had this debate again 1 year from now, what are kind of the 3 measurable outcomes, not just like general outcomes, you would want students to be able to point to you in your role and say, you know, the AUSA vice president for postgraduates did that. What would those outcomes be?
Major outcome would be that postgraduate students are actually represented better and their addresses are taken into consideration. And there are many supervision supports provided to them by the university.
Yeah, something would be immigration. So if we have a USA immigration, someone there to support them, so that'd be something. And also just them, more postgraduate students getting to know about a USA. That'll be something. Yeah, more representation, advocacy for a USA and both for postgraduate students as well.
I got something to touch upon both of those points as well, which is I don't think most postgraduate students really care so much about AUSA or they are aware about AUSA, which is an issue. And what I'd like to be measured a year from now is if every student has somebody as a representative who they can go to, and that issue be raised up and given a result back, and if every student can have that feeling, knowing that they have somebody who represents them, I think that would be my biggest victory.
Touching on to that, the representation and the representative being there is AUSA. We have these services there. We have people's advisors who give support for them, both in terms of like academic, financial advice. So I do think having that connection and making sure they know there's someone and a house there in Alfred Street that they can go up to. Yeah, that'd be something I'd touch on.
Just one small point.
Sure thing.
I want my individual student councils on each faculty rather than them walking to a USA house, because it has to be a more personal connection and that has to go up. So.
Okay. Again, just rapid fire and brief. If you were to vote for one other candidate for this role, if you couldn't vote for yourself, who would you vote for? Hari?
Which is pretty good.
Okay.
I'll vote for Hari.
Hari.
Okay.
Perfect. And just to close, I think this is a good fitting closing question. Neither of us are postgrads. Most of the people who will be watching this podcast are not are undergrads. Excuse me. We're not postgrads, right? So, what is one thing that you wish that we knew as undergrads about your lives as postgrads that you think would help us understand it all better? Hari?
Just something that we spearheaded recently, which I mentioned, was is it a 1 word thing or a 30-second thing?
Just like 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Is a lot of our issues that concern us were voted by UGs all until now. AUSA is very much UG centric. And think about this, if you guys were us, would you want somebody else who have different interests to be voting for our lives and the things that affect our lives? So as a PG student, current PG student, and who knows the issues being sitting on these panels, I can better represent that. And I feel that UG students really have a very biased view on that. And that isn't your fault. It's just that the system hasn't really accommodated for that, which is something that I wish to change.
Perfect. Thanks very much. I'd like to know even more, but we don't have that much time, so I will move on.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah. If there's one thing that you wish that us undergrads knew about you postgrads, what would that be? Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Us undergrads knew about you postgrads.
Yeah. Me being an undergrad going into postgrad journey, it's about how intensive research. They think that not having exams is easier, but no. And also postgrads are there in the university. It's just that you don't come across most of them. So I hear a lot of undergrads talking about, oh, they don't even come to uni, they're just working. But no, there is a presence in the campus and they are there. So yeah.
And finally,
I would like to add, like, considering all their points like financial pressure, academic pressure, isolation, difficulty to socialize with groups, or even like the responsibility of handling it out by ourselves. I think that's one huge responsibility that students need to navigate by themselves. And I think undergrads might not be aware of it.
awesome. Thanks very much. I know both of us have learned a lot from this, and I'm sure everyone watching will have as well. But I'd like to thank all the candidates for what has been a really enjoyable debate. I'd like to wish you all the best of luck in the elections campaigns. And now I'd like to remind you to vote in the AUSA elections using the link that's in the video description. It'll also be in the AUSA socials, and it should hopefully be all over the Instagram. Voting closes on the 28th of August at 5 p.m. Thanks very much for watching.